yo.
What up?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. How you doing, Monica?
I'm doing super cool because that's what I am.
I am, so therefore I am.
I'm good. I'm just, today was this Friday was like a Monday for me. I got to argue with people at work.
Yeah.
Why couldn't I have been born wealthy? That's what I want to know. And how come I like to marry poor people? That's also what I would like to know. Like wasn't born with it, didn't marry into it. Got to work my ass off for it.
I thought you were just going to stop it. Why was I born?
I could have been born. The whole thing. We went down the whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's crazy because like when I was a kid, I remember when I first started school. Like I'm probably like kindergarten, not preschool, because preschool's like fun and activity, and you're not doing anything. But I remember when I first started kindergarten, walking into the classroom and like feeling like not this again, dude. I don't want to go through all this over again. Like weird, like I'd been there before, and school was the breaking point in life for me. Like, oh yes, that sucks. That's right. This whole place sucks.
Well, here's the thing. Like I remember graduating like high school, and everybody's like, "Oh, I can't wait to get out of here. This sucks." And I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Do you pay attention? Like the real world is terrifying, man. Like we're getting turned loose in that shit.
Right.
Some of you weren't even 18." It's like, no, I don't want to leave. This is like a very safe zone. I don't want to go.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, no, I mean, I dropped out in first half of ninth grade, and like I moved out of my parents. I think I was like 13. They moved up to Round Rock, or they lived up in Round Rock. I moved out back down to Austin.
So did you get a 40-hour work? Like, where were you working to support yourself?
I wasn't. I went and lived with friends. Their moms let me live there. But yeah, but then of course it was always as long as you go to school, get your pass. I don't care if you get good grades, but make sure you're passing. You can stay here. So it didn't last very long. I ended up just dropping out and freaking sleeping on couches and getting into trouble.
Man, that's not a very good life plan, Joe. It's not a very good life plan.
No, it wasn't.
That's why they don't let you go and drink when you're in ninth grade.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what it was like in ninth grade. So I'd go to school and I'd get off the bus, but I wouldn't go, or I'd go to first period, and then because they only checked attendance during first period. So as soon as first period was, and eventually I got bold enough to where as soon as they called my name, I'd just walk out of class. But I'd go hang out under the bridge by the school on the highway, and there was a Tom Thumb, which is like a grocery store, like a not a big chain. And I'd go there, I'd steal a pack of smokes, freaking, try to steal whatever I could, and then I'd go back and hang out until like 1 in the afternoon. And then my homeboy's cousin, she got off of work, and she lived in the apartments across the street. So I'd go over to her house and have her buy 40s, and so I'd just sit there and drink 40s and then just walk back to the bus.
Dude, in ninth grade?
Yeah.
In ninth grade, I was like, I don't want to be the drug major.
Yeah, I'd get 2 40s a day, and I'd buy her 2, and yeah, with my hustle money, and then get back on the school bus and ride home, or ride to my friend's mom's.
That's I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know if I'm sad or
great. I had a great time.
Well,
I
I'm
even
sure you did, but the
got so
adult
bold.
lenses, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I even got so
Mom and
bold.
me is like, get your ass back in that classroom. I
No, I
mean,
even
ninth
got.
grade Monica would have been like, dude, that's so cool.
Mhm.
That's so cool. I can't do that, but that's so cool. The mom and me is like, get your ass back there.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way with my kids. I understand. I'm like, dude, I know you want to, but don't. Come on, man. You know, like I'll end up, I'll set them straight, but it'll be like, I understand, and my stories don't help, because they'll be like, what were you
Just
doing in
don't
ninth grade?
romanticize it, just don't
Yeah,
romanticize it. Like, learn from
right.
my lessons. Allow me to be the martyr for this. Like, learn
Oh,
from my lessons.
yeah, my two oldest, they did. They're like, dude, no, I don't want to live like that, And but my youngest son, he's like, everything, everything you did, I'm gonna do the same, and he's horrible at it. Like he caught
He's
his
horrible
first,
at it.
yeah, dude. Like before he even turned 17, like right before he turned 17, he got he got arrested for Grand Theft Auto and leading police through a 3-county high-speed pursuit.
Holy
Like,
shit, man. Holy
yeah,
shit. Like, let's
yeah,
not get
dude.
a felony before we turn 18.
Thank you. Yeah, I was stealing cars when I was like 12, but I never got busted. Stupid.
See, I never did that. I dated a guy who did that. I remember going out, he picked me up and we went out and we met some friends of his. Like, it was in a residential neighborhood. It must have been one of their houses. So I get out of his car and I'm leaning against this car that they're all standing around. And I go to like look at it and I go to put my hand on it and he grabs my wrist. And he's like, not like me, but he's like, don't touch the car. And I was like, I was thinking like he was like, don't touch my baby. Right.
Right,
He was like, no. And it was my date that grabbed me, not the dude who like I thought owned the car. No, it was a stolen car. They just didn't. They were thoughtful enough to not allow me to have my fingerprints all over it.
yeah.
I appreciate.
Yeah, one time I remember I was high school, so I was like 14, and my friend that I was staying with, his older brother, he was a dick to us, man. Like he was just
Older
awful.
brothers are.
Yeah,
I didn't have
he took it.
I hear stories.
He took it. He pushed it to the limit. But he passed out. He got drunk and passed out one time, and I jacked his keys and took his. He had a big freaking boat. It was like probably like a Buick or a Regal or something like that, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm out cruising around. And I'm like, man, if he finds out I took his car, so I got to put gas in it. So I go to the 7-Eleven on I-35 and Breaker Lane in Austin, North Austin. And I'm putting gas in it, and like about 3 or 4 police cars, all sheriffs, come rolling into the freaking driveway, or into the parking lot. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm out there pumping gas. And one of the cops, he's like, aren't you a little young to be pumping gas? And I was like, oh no, my mom's inside. I'm just doing it for her while she's and as soon as they shut that door, the hell out of here.
I bet. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That'll make you pucker.
Yeah, right.
Okay, nothing sobers you up like seeing a cop. I can tell you that. There's nothing more sobering. It's better than an ice bath. Like nothing sobers you up faster than a cop.
Right. Yeah, good old times. But so yeah, I do have a topic for tonight, as you already know, but the listeners may or may not, if we were listening to last night's show. The Giants of Malta. So this is a pretty cool thing. So the legend goes back to there's like a neighboring island called like Gigantitus or something like that. I'd butcher it if I read it. Where the lore is that um, there was a woman giant, female giant that basically built the island, and it's got like megaliths and
Mm-hmm.
huge pieces. And one of the things about it is like, where did all these, because it's an island. So like if you talk about like gigantic structures like, Machu Picchu, or Egypt, the pieces in
Right.
Egypt, and Stonehenge and stuff like that. Like they had quarries to go to, you know what I mean, to be able to possibly be able to cut these giant stones out, and then however their logistic system works, they could, in theory, drag them over and set them up.
Right.
But with an island, like now you're talking, you know, boats that have to have these, thousands of tons rocks,
Right.
basically bricks and rocks or whatever, and transport them to this thing. So, and there's statues of this giant woman found on the island, found in carvings. Um, so they pretty much think that she was the one that built the whole thing, and that it even goes back to like the flood.
Mm-hmm.
That they hung out next to the island and kind of like basically waited until everything settled back down. But that they lived pretty much in the ocean, and she was like the last of the Mohicans, so to speak.
Right.
So, and there's also like these giant barrels, but they have like handles on them, so that people are like, those are cups, those aren't, but they're big stone, and a lot of people go, no, that's where like they were storing food and grain and you know this and that. So
Sure.
depending on which side you lean towards, I guess you can make an argument for any of these subjects and any of this stuff either way, skeptic or believer. But but when it comes to Malta, which is the neighboring island, this island it actually has a huge underground cave system. So like in
Mm.
like 1902, um, they were doing or not archaeological. I think they were like mining for something, and they came across they broke into the top of the cave, and they found this big hypergeum, which is like a almost kind of like a worship chamber, like if you could think of like the temple part of a
Mm-hmm.
church or whatever. And they found all these bones, and some of them were like skeletons that were like 10 feet tall,
Oh.
and yeah, so they found all these bones and stuff. And so then they're like, all right, let's go check it out, and not much is actually said about what they what's actually down there. And then fast forward into, I want to say it's in the 30s. Don't quote me, because and one of the things I like to do is go off, shoot from the hip on stuff like this, because I don't know. I feel like whenever you read something off to the people, they can go Google it themselves, and it takes the humanity out of it.
Yeah.
But so in the 30s, there was a field trip, and this teacher took like 30 kids, and maybe two teachers, I don't know, but took 30 kids down there into the tunnel system, because it was like everyone went to go check it out. It was like field trip type stuff, like
Sure.
people were
Oh, you live
tripping
where the
about
history
going
is.
down
You go
there.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so all the kids ended up missing, like vanishing. They never came out.
What?
They sent a search party. Yeah, no one found any of them.
I'm
But
Googling that.
they said that, yeah, they said that up to 2 weeks, for like the next 2 weeks, that people could hear kids screaming coming from like their plumbing systems. Like they could hear it in their sinks and and their drainage systems. So
Holy.
yeah, so they ended up sealing the whole thing up, and they cut it off completely. Now rewind just a little bit in time, not too much, about I want to say a month before, and there was this lady. This part I will look up just so I can get her name right. Do. Okay. Bear with me, folks. Oh yeah, so the I think the woman thing is called the Sansuna legend. Her name was Sansuna.
Yeah, she was the giantess. That's what they called her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then okay, so where she supposedly built things was on the island of Gozo.
Gozo, right? Yeah. So Lois Jessup, right? So she's a tourist from America, and she goes to her and 4 friends. They're like, oh, let's go check out the cave system, blah blah blah. There's nothing to do, it's hot, so of course let's go hang out in the cave. Whatever. And so they meet a tourist dude, and he's like, yeah, I'll take you down there and show you all around, whole 9 yards. And they get to where there's like a narrow slit in the end. He's like, yeah, it goes back further, but this is where the tour is. We're not going back there, And she's like, come on, right. Let's go back. And he's like, dude, if you want to go back there, you can go back there, but I'm not going back there, And so, and they got candles and stuff, so they're like candle, And so her and her friends, they basically make like a daisy chain with a rope, and they tie, waist to waist, and they go through this thing. And she said that she came out to an opening, and she was like on the lip of like a round opening. So think of it like kind of like you coming out walking onto the edge of a well, like with the concrete and everything.
Yeah.
And so she's standing on the lip of it. She says that she feels the rock, and it's no longer rock. There's like some kind of like fleshy substance, you know what I mean? And she like freaks the F out, she's like, oh, whoa. And then says that she's looking down into this well, I guess. And it's about 50 feet to the bottom. And there's an entrance on one side and like what looks like an entrance or an exit on the other side. So she's looking down this cylinder, and there's a hole in the bottom and a hole in the bottom of each side. And she says that she starts seeing these beings walk out, and they're about half as tall as it is deep. So 25, 30-ish feet tall. And they have like long white hair that's like past almost, she said it looked almost like loincloth. Like that's how long it was. So like you think like mid to almost close to the knee, and said that they were like stopped and they noticed her, and they just started being like, come here, like come down.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah. and meanwhile the other chicks are like going, come on, keep going. We're stuck in the, because they're still stuck in the little crevice trying to get through. And she's like, yeah, she's like, nope, not at all. Like it ain't happening. Go back.
You hippers want to go, you go. I'm going back through the crevice.
I'm good. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
I'm going home. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
But yeah, so she goes, they end up backing out of there, goes back. Unspoken words are said between her and the tour guide because he kind of gives her the look like,
It was
you
that.
saw it, didn't you?
And it was
Yeah. And
like,
she's like,
yeah, I thought.
yeah. And
Mm.
she's like, well, once they get out of there, she goes, well, you know, how do y'all is there a way that y'all can get back there? Like, do y'all go back there and stuff like that? He's like, no, we don't. He's like, my suggestion is if you really want to go back there, he's like, go in numbers. He said, actually, there's one of the teachers from the elementary schools throwing a field trip out there. So if you're going to go next month, so if you're going to go in numbers. That way.
Yeah, that helped.
Right, exactly.
I mean, just all the mass disappearances, right? Like helped on Roanoke. It's a whole dang village.
Roanoke. Dude, yeah, Roanoke gets me too, man. I mean, I love that this story, and it actually appeared in. I want to say it was some magazine.
The Malta story.
Yeah, in New York.
It appeared in Nat Geo in 1940.
Yeah, it was in Nat Geo, and it was also in like one of those paranormal magazines that came out of like New York or something like that. Like, you know, weird and mysterious places or whatever,
right.
You know. What up, Mickey G? What up, everybody? I'm sorry I don't get to say the hellos to all y'all.
Two Shadows, Al Gore, Alan Howe, and
most appreciated.
Bristol. There's some troublemaker called Our Paranormal World in there saying hi too.
Sweet. Oh, you did get the wrench. I did it right. You got my wrench, Monica. Yeah.
I got a wrench.
Oh, so did Ivy. I gave Ivy one too.
Oh, I got to get you one for my show. Right. Maddie. What's up, Maddie? I hope Josh is feeding you as promised. Edge Ristol. Ivy.
But yeah, that the Roanoke, I love that story just like I love this one, except it only goes so far, and there's no solving or figuring it out. You know,
well, I mean, Roanoke for sure. There's no figuring it out, but I mean, okay, so they carved Croatoan on the tree trunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't there like an island or something that the natives called Croatoan that wasn't like too far away? Yeah. So maybe they went to the island for whatever reason, and a hurricane came and wiped them off the map. I don't know. Or they just assimilated into the local tribes.
Or assimilated into the tribe.
Yeah. Or it was like Stephen King's Storm of the Century and they didn't pass the test. And he made them all jump into the ocean.
Yeah, I find all those, even like the ones where it's like the boat and like people get there and the food's still hot, but there's not a sign of anybody, you know, on the boat. But, you know, it's like, but they looked like they were just sitting down to have dinner, and all of a sudden there's
like the Mary Celeste, right? Yeah, like
the Mary Celeste, yeah.
Right.
And
there's lots of other legends and stories of people coming across ships where it looks like everything's fine, right? But the crew is 100% gone. But I did I think I read it somewhere. I heard it somewhere or read it somewhere that the Mary Celeste, the cargo that she had was, well, no, it was there, but maybe it was leaking because I want to say it produced some sort of flammable gas. It was like alcohol or something. It was something. Yeah. And they thought that maybe they had abandoned ship because of the fumes and had maybe tethered or not tethered like idiots to, you know, the, what is it? The safety ship, you know what I'm talking about. Right.
No, I do know that one.
Words no work tonight for Monica. So anyway, the lifeboat. So maybe they were in the lifeboat, didn't tether properly, something happened. And I mean, anybody who's been on a boat or been in the ocean at all would know, like, the current's going to take some things like easier than you. And if you don't tether yourself, like if you're on a ship and you don't tether yourself, you're going to get left behind. I mean, if you saw Castaway, you get it, right? You gotta can't let things go in the ocean.
Wilson. Yeah.
Or Wilson.
Wilson was the real victim of that whole movie.
I know. Freaking abandoned at sea. He's probably barnacle covered now. He sleeps with the fishes.
He sleeps with the fishes, see?
What does that mean? They said that's a fish. It means he sleeps with the fishes. I'd love to do that. I'd love to send somebody a fish, just some rando. Find somebody with an Italian last name and mail them a cod or something.
Right. I know just the guy. I know just the guy. Yeah. But I mean,
somebody like that.
So, okay, well, that just piques my interest now. Like, so what if you had to take like an educated thought process or guess on, this vanishing of people whenever it's like everything was in place, blah, blah, blah. Not just the Mary Celeste, because there's that one that's like about the lighthouse. That's the exact.
Oh yeah, the guys that were on right over in was it off Scotland? Was it off this coast?
If I said yeah, I might be lying. So
I can't remember. Anyway, somewhere London. It was one of the islands over there. Yeah. Okay, so those guys that were man in the lighthouse, because I think not all of the oil coats were missing. Right, because that's what they wore. Like those were raincoats back then, and the ashes on the hearth were cold. So it'd been a while since I'd had a fire in there, and like the logs, right? The diary, the logs that they kept didn't show anything out of the ordinary.
Right.
But I mean, I think that when the replacement crew docked, they did notice that, like, I guess some of the anchors in the rock that I guess they held chain or rope or something to like help you come up the cliff face were bent. So there was like a theory that a rogue wave came. I don't know why they would have been anywhere near the cliffs during a storm that would have, caused a tsunami or rogue wave to come up and wash them out. I don't have an explanation for that one. That one's crazy, because like what circumstance would bring, because I think it was 3 guys, would bring all of them to a point where they could have gotten washed into the sea.
Right. Yeah. And if it's like rogue wave, it's like the timing was impeccable.
But I think there weren't any storms. Like there hadn't been any storms reported either, which is, again, weird. But then again, storm of the century, Yeah. Maybe Mr. Man showed up.
Yeah. So like in your paranormal brain, what would you go to as far as just people vanishing, and not just one person? Because because then you could go as far as like missing 411 or something like that. But I'm thinking of like isolated people.
Okay.
Plenty of supplies, plenty of food.
Okay, so isolated people, like so groups of people like confound me a little bit more than individuals, because individuals can disappear easy peasy. Even 2 people can disappear pretty easy if neither one of them knows what the heck they're doing. But you get like the lighthouse thing where you've got 2, guys that know their way around. They've been doing this a while, and like none of them were rookies. And they're on an island. I mean, so for something like that, my paranormal mind would go to like leaving the rational behind. I would probably go towards like alien abduction, or in that instance, or you can even say like a siren call that would have them come out and jump off the cliff into the ocean.
That's a good one. I never even thought of that. Yeah. No, that's you got my paranormal mind thinking.
You got to whip out the thing there. Sirens. So yeah, I mean, like a siren call, because I just again cannot for the life of me figure out why all three of them would have gone to a point that is that perilous. I get, two of them, but the third dude should have been like, somebody's got to record it for posterity, man. Like, I'm good. Sorry, guys. But again, this isn't an era where, everybody was quite heroic according to literature. So, one guy, maybe he slips, the next guy goes to save him, he gets in trouble. Third guy goes to rescue both of them, and he gets in trouble. And all of them are dropping down into the ocean. Because, so where I grew up, the coastline is treacherous. I mean, there's this beach called Wright's Beach on the Sonoma coast. And it's got this rock, like this little, looks like, it's not quite an island because it's not real far offshore. But in low tide, you can get to it easy, no problem. When the tide's up, you can see it, but I wouldn't get in the tide to get to it, right? You could, if you were really determined, get to it, but I wouldn't. So it's kind of on shore, kind of not on shore. But the nickname for it is Death Rock, because people always try to climb the dang thing, and it's slippery, and they fall into the ocean, and they either get hypothermia, they get washed out by the rip currents, they get drugged by the undertow, or a great white shark grabs them. Usually it's drowning, but those beaches are also notorious for sneaker waves all up and down the Sonoma coast. And there are these signs all over the place when you come onto the beaches, watch out for sneaker waves. And they have like this whole thing explaining it, like, don't ever turn your back to the ocean. And sure enough, like every other year, like a few people get caught. They're either stupid and they're like playing in the surf, like they're down in Southern California. You do not play in the surf in Northern California.
Yeah.
And, they get drug out, they get caught, their dog gets swept out, they get swept out by sneaker waves, whatever happens, they end up in the water, and somebody always goes out and tries to save the person who gets washed out. And both of them end up drowning. Right. And there's like instances where I remember this chick's, I don't want to say it was her husband that got washed out, or she got washed out, or her husband jumped in, and a freaking sheriff's officer jumped in, and all three of them ended up drowning. I mean, so I could see it in a circumstance like that, where like one person gets in trouble, the second one goes and tries to save them. The third person's like, and they get in trouble, and the third person's like, oh crap, I'm the only other person here, I got to help these people. And you jump in, and all three of you are screwed,
Yeah. No, yeah, like two chefs at Oregon Coast, same thing. My uncle, he moved to Oregon, and I'd see him, every few years or so, and he's like told me about the sneaker waves, and I was like,
oh yeah,
what the hell are you talking about? Like, there's no way, just some rogue way. And he's like,
oh,
dude,
yeah.
you never turn your back on the ocean. He's like, you could be where they park their cars, like to go walk down to the beach or whatever, the beach side. And he's like, they'll be in the parking lot and just, reminds me of Creep Show 2. And then he's like, I beat you.
I know. It's like, guess what, bitch? Surprise, bitch. Yeah. So, okay. So there are king tides. So I don't know if you would have to live on the coast to probably have heard of that. So there is such a thing as a king tide. And those will come up into the parking lots. But typically the parking lot's far enough away, even in Oregon, right? Because I summered in Oregon, and we were in Roseburg, but we'd go out to like Port Orr and like along the southern, like Florence, along the coast there. So yeah, I mean, waves will come up that high, but it's usually during king tides. And you've got plenty of warning before king tides happen. But rogue waves, yeah, they'll come like 50 feet up shore. Like, you'll have a break, a break, a break, a break, and then rogue wave or sneaker wave is what they call it. And then that just like, it's twice as big as the other ones. And you don't see it. Like it looks like a normal set until right as it's cresting. And all of a sudden you see more water surging towards you than the previous waves.
Right. No, I'm good. I'm good on that. I can't do ocean anymore. Like, Jen loves the ocean, and she actually tried to talk me into going and buying a house like in South Padre, and I was just like, no, and because I'm thinking, hurricane or whatever or something,
Sure,
like
that's legit,
right? But then I started getting into, more and more into like the cryptid thing and like, and also I have megalophobia, so like. Now the ocean is way too big. I can't deal with it. I just can't wrap my nugget around it. And what's down there is just freaking terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
What's in the ocean scares the crap out of me. Like, I don't like dark water, any kind of dark water. Like, if I can't see through it, I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Like when I was in Hawaii, right? I could see down. I tried to swim down. I couldn't swim down all the way because the pressure in my ears was hurting. So it looks closer than it is. It's deceptive, right? Because you can see the sand. It should be like right there, right? So I remember, like diving down, and then realizing I ain't going to go any farther, and stopping and looking, and then looking out to sea, and it's clear to a point, and then there's a gray wall. It's just a gray wall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah. I was like, I gotta go. Yeah, get out of the water. Because all I could see was like a freaking shark coming right at me, right? In my mind, megalodons out there like, oh, Monica's in the water? Well,
I can smell her suntan lotion from here.
I can smell her fear.
Yeah, no, I just can't do it, man. I don't know. I even think, because like I said, I used to love it, man. I'd go to the beach, we go to, Port Aransas or, whatever. And I'd go see how far I could get out there where I'm like, where the shore looks, tiny. And I'm like, yeah, look how far out I am, because it's just like a kid whenever you see a freaking, a giant ramp or something to kill yourself on. You're like, yeah, it'll never happen. And then you get older and you're like, no,
it happens. Yeah, it totally happens. Yeah. I mean, not to mention like where I grew up was like the great white shark capital of the freaking world. It's inside the Red Triangle.
See, and that's another one. I guess because of Jaws, that's the only thing I can think of. But because we talked about it before, I had no freaking clue that the great whites were on the West Coast. I thought it was all East Coast.
See, I didn't think they were on the East Coast. I was like, what the hell are they doing over there? Jess is back over here on YouTube.
Get in the yard.
Get back where you belong.
Right, yeah. But I didn't know that they were, because
and I think about it like, okay, so I used to swim in the Russian River when I was a kid, right? Because you can't swim in the ocean. So I would swim in the Russian River, and there were steelhead salmon. And that was like the biggest thing, is like getting hit in the leg or whatever by a freaking like giant steelhead salmon, because those things hurt. And they're not like trying to attack you. They're called steelhead salmon for a reason. And so that was the big like, oh crap, because we were, and the Russian River dumps into the Pacific Ocean at Jenner, right? And it's the like a little rookery for seals. So like at certain times of the year, you can go see them calf and, all this other shit. So anyway, it feeds into the Pacific at Jenner, which is like not far from where you swim, right? I mean, it's far enough, but it's not far at all. And then I learned like later in life that bull sharks can swim up into fresh water. And I'm like, God damn it. I wouldn't swim in the goddamn Russian River if I knew.
There's no safe place for me anymore.
Right? I mean, I was like steelhead salmon, maybe like an errant, like seal or what do you have, like elephant seals or harbor seal,
Right.
like, because there is this one elephant seal that kind of hangs around in the river, kind of near the mouth where it dumps into the ocean. And he's been known to be kind of a jerk to like people that are kayaking. Like he'll chase them down and like bark at them and like bump their boat and stuff. But if I had known that there was the potential for shark up in the river,
Yeah.
Nope, I wouldn't. Because now I just look at the river. I mean, I don't even know if there are bull sharks there, like even in the vicinity, like if that's their habitat or not. But just knowing that they can do that,
Yeah,
doing that shit.
Yeah, right when Jen was going, she just went. She had a girls' weekend or whatever, and went floating San Marcos River, and like. Like I'm literally, she's. It's like Thursday, and she's leaving on Friday, and I'm watching reels and stuff, and it's like a newscast, and it's like a bull shark up in the San Marcos River, like in San Marcos, like so it went way up. Yeah, and so I was like, babe, and she's like, I'm just gonna pretend you didn't say it.
And shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I'm like, well, if it does get you, just pour all the vodka in your bottle down its freaking
punch it in the snout, because that's where its jelly glands are, or grab its gills. Stick your fingers in its gills. Trust me, it won't like it. Well, you're going to be getting chewed on if you have the presence of mind.
I'm like, get it drunk. It'll be like, bro, cool, man.
Dude, that's not cool. It's not cool, dude. See, okay, so when I floated the river, I think I said this before, I should have gone on the San Marcos, because I went through whatever the hell it is, meandering through New Braunfels. Which one is that?
It's either the Gruing.
Well, I didn't go through Gruen, so it wasn't green.
The Comal?
It was the Comal. I was on the Comal with 500 other dipshits. And it was tepid bath water, and there were rafts like of 50 people lashed together, and it was going at a just breakneck speed of like, I don't know, a quarter of a knot an hour. So we were like hardly moving. I was getting so pissed, and I thought that it was going to be like a 2-hour float. Hell no. I was stuck on that goddamn river for 5 hours. And I was like, can I get out at some of these condos and call it a taxi or some shit? Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I was annoyed. Like, because it was.
I can imagine you just fuming.
The water was gross. I was promised clear water. This is not clear water. It's like almost blue, kind of like, it looks like something that you like, they put the dye in local parks to make it like, oh sure, it's that. Like, that's not a natural blue.
This is not in the brochure.
Like, it smelled like freaking Willie Nelson's tour bus, and there were just drunk people everywhere, and I was done. I was mad because the water wasn't clear. I was mad because we weren't moving. I was mad because these idiots. Like, what do you need? It's a floating island of assholes. Like, people lashed together, and I'm like, get the out of my way. Just like, if I had a paddle, I'd have paddled our asses out of there, and I would have hit people with it accidentally on purpose, because I just wanted to get out of there. I was so sick of that. So it was crowded. It was gross. The water was not clear. And then we go to Green a couple of days later, and we cross over the Guadalupe River. Clear. Right. Wasn't a single person in it. I was like, I was mad. That I wasn't about to like get out again in the nasty, humid weather. Just to float on the river. But I was like, this does not make me happy. And then my friend Paul, who I met up with while I was there. It's so funny because so many of the people that I went to school with ended up in Texas, and I swear to God, they all lived down like in New Braunfels. And but I met with Paul, and him and his wife are like, oh yeah, you got to come down and we'll go paddling on the Guadalupe. It's all clear, and they have like night paddles. And I was like, would have been good info to have the first time.
Right. You gotta know the locals, man. No, it's funny though. I can, dude, because I know you well enough to where I can literally see it. Like I can envision it. Like
it was me. This was my face, like for 5 hours. Like that was me on the river.
Freaking idiot, drunk idiot.
Me looking at my husband like, you told me this was a better river to go on. It's like, water's not even cool. It's freaking tepid bath water.
You're cut off for a month. That's it.
Yeah, I was like, and then unless you rented your tubes from this one place that had a private takeout, you had to get out at the public takeout. There were like so many people there were so many people on this river, and everybody had to get out at this one place. Because if you floated your ass right on past that, I don't know, you're going to end up in the Gulf of Mexico. Like there's no other takeout. And so everybody's like fighting for position, right? Jockeying for position to get out at this one stupid like launch, this landing area. There's nobody from the city helping anybody get out. Would there be stairs there? Fuck no. You got to like pedal your ass up as close as you can to the edge and then hopefully hop out, right? So what happens is it's a log jam of assholes and inner tubes. And my son can't swim, like he cannot swim. And he had a life jacket on, like I had a hold of him and everything, but trying to get out, my husband hops out. Does he turn around and proceed to help us get up? No. He starts drying himself off. I'm like, you son of a... And we're like Lucas, right? Goes like, I'm like trying to like lean over to help him out. And he like dumps, like somebody hits him, his inner tube flips, he goes down even with the life jacket on. And I couldn't get to him because some other asshole's like tube floated over where he went down. And this guy next to me was closer to him, and he reached down and fished him out and pulled him up. And I was like, I hate this fucking place. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be that perilous. I would never have taken my son there. I never would have taken him there if I knew it was going to be like this, right? I was thinking, oh, it's a leisurely float down the Comal. No big deal. Screw that. Go on the Guadalupe.
Right. That's hilarious, dude.
I was mad. Oh, I was hot. I was mad.
My cheeks are going to hurt tomorrow. Oh, that's great. Okay, well, yeah. So for anybody listening,
memories with
Comal is not the place to go.
Don't go on the goddamn Comal. Go to the San Marcos. Go down the Guadalupe. Don't bother with the Comal in New Braunfels. Anyway, I don't know about everywhere.
Right.
That one little stretch that all of Texas has to get their ass into. Please don't bother.
Dude, you said that if you missed that landing or whatever, I just had like a mental image of just like end up and you're like, what the hell? Like floating down the river walk.
Hello?
With your baby. What the shit?
How did I end up here?
Margarita.
Anybody? You know, I wasn't prepared for like a 5-hour float. I was not. Like we didn't have enough water. Like I was mad. One drunk dude did kind of like meander over to me. And he's like, hey, you having a good time? And I was like, yeah. Super fun.
Great.
Like, yeah, the river's cool, huh? You want a beer? You need a beer? And I was like, nah, I'm good, bro. Thank you. I'm gonna throw it at somebody if you give me one.
Right. Yeah, I used to go down to Grewing, and Jen gets on my ass. She's like, it's called green, and I'm like, no, look at the way it's spelled.
Okay, so in German it's Grün.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that by now it's such a arguing point between me and her. I'm stuck with it. We do the same thing with Bear County. She's like, it's called Bear County. I'm like, no, it's Bexar County. You know, she's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is. Just like we're not called Tace, we're called Texas, so it's Bexar County. Yeah.
When people ask me where I'm from, I'm like, Tejas. I'm from Tejas. Where's that? And I was like, yeah, it's in the South.
But yeah, I used to go down there, and it's funny because like my idea of the river experience is we'd park the car, go down there, and I'd bring like a case of beer, walk out to where it's about, I don't know, 2-3 feet deep, put my beer in the water, sit down, and just watch people float. Like that's my river experience. I just sit there and drink, watch people float. And then after I got a good buzz going, I'd start digging for like the little clams and stuff, and just like using those kind of like little snacks, like like peanuts.
What do you raw clams? You trying to die?
Is there you're not supposed to do that? Or, I don't know.
At least like hold a dick under them or something.
Well, I figured, I was like, well,
I know you got one.
What did I'm sure the natives were like, oh, cool clam. So, yeah, that's what I'd do. And then I'd start realizing that everybody's drinking and they're not getting out to pee. So
yes, that did cross my mind. I was like, is this warm from the sun or something else? Because again, everybody in a 50-mile radius of New Braunfels was in that river. New Braunfels was in the river that day.
Right, for 5 hours.
Teabagging it for 5 hours.
Nice and thick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do that too. Like even when I was a kid, I'd be like, we used to have a little public swimming pool we used to always go to. And I'd literally sit around and I'd watch people. I'm like, dude, that dude, other than, whenever every couple of hours the lifeguards, whistle and you have to get out and take like a 5-minute break or whatever. I'm like, nobody's gone to the bathroom at all. Like,
not a one. Not a one.
And I'm like, interesting. I haven't either.
You're floating in it.
Yeah. I thought I was the only one.
Enjoy that tepid bath water.
And I'm comfortable with mine.
Well, it's yours.
Yeah, exactly. It's
at least
mine.
it didn't turn the pool blue.
Dude, that was I remember when that came out, people were saying that. They're like, they got this new dye, and I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom.
Nobody wants to be the person with the blue dye coming out of their trunks.
Blue circle around it, yeah. And then to find out it was
reminds me of Caddyshack when he throws the payday bar into the pool.
Oh yeah, and just Jaws music.
Yeah.
Dude, there's actually, that reminds me, they probably already did it because we're already summer's almost over. But
no, it's not.
Well, technically, right? September is the start of the fall.
You want to be technical, yeah, but temperature-wise.
Yeah. But they do that Jaws on the river or whatever. The Jaws float.
Is it in San Marcos where you have a legit chance of actually meeting them?
You're right. Yeah. It is. But yeah, they have like the big drive-in screen theater, and everyone goes out there and sits in their floats and watches Jaws and stuff.
I'm assuming you're tethered to something. Do you like anchor yourself, like tie your tube to a rock and drop the rock to the other river?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works because every time I've seen it, it kind of looks like it's like a man-made offshoot. It almost looks like a big swimming pool because it's almost perfectly round.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they kind of like dug a thing out to where the river runs through it, which is a good book, by the way. But
do they put shark netting up?
Maybe, I don't know.
That would be sweet. Out. Probably not because there's fish and turtles and stuff we don't want to murder.
Right, true.
Just gonna have to take your chance. I mean, it's even more thrilling when you know that there is a legitimate chance that you could get bit by a shark while you're watching Jaws.
This is, I mean, that's what life's all about, taking the chance.
You gotta take those risks.
Yeah.
And then the okay, so the brain eating amoeba, I'm like freaked out about, right? Ever since I heard about it like 20 years ago. People have gotten it from being in the Guadalupe, south of the dam. So I'm like, God.
Well, that's how I feel about a lot of stuff. Like, so, especially in like for all of us that do like the conspiracy theories. Excuse me. It's like if you really go so far into it, everything is trying to kill you.
No, it is legit. Like,
chemtrails, chemtrails or the depopulation or the nanoplastics or blah,
let me tell you, the chemtrails aren't doing their job. They're not. There's too many people on the road when I'm going to work. Population control is not working.
We tried with Plan B, but the chemtrails seem to be doing nothing.
It's not working. Yeah. Debunked.
Right.
There's too many people on the road.
See, I think personally that I think they threw the fact away that the cloud seeding and weather manipulation. They're like, all right, we can only do so much because it's huge and we're small. But now we figured out a way to make a screen for the Project Bluebeam, type of thing. Because if you think about any kind of what's the name for it? Projection, right? So for like you have to have like a background for the light to bounce off of, right? So then they're like, you know what? We'll do this so we can make the big cloud or the city in the sky in China, and we'll have a nice little backdrop for our holograms to bounce
in the movies. The aliens always come out of clouds,
right?
Always, the ship appears out of a cloud, a roiling cloud, and then there's the ship. Projection, soft. What is it? Soft.
Programming.
No, soft. God damn it! I can't think tonight. I'm still pissed off about the fucking Kumar.
You're still back in the Kumar.
I'm fuming over it. That was like 2 years ago. Thank you, Head Trip. Soft disclosure.
Soft disclosure.
That's it. Okay. So those are the movies. So you're conditioned now when you see an alien craft in the clouds that are required for the Project Bluebeam, right? Mm-hmm. Then you saw it in the movie, so it's got to be real, right?
Right. Yeah. I think, I mean, what do you think on that? Do you buy that whole factor, the Project Bluebeam?
Kind of. It wouldn't, let me put it, I don't know if I subscribe to it 100%, but it wouldn't surprise me if one day they're like, oh, aliens are real. Because if you've seen Dr. What's-His-Face, the Disclosure, his documentary, he talks about, I think it's called Disclosure or Undisclosed. Something like that. He talks about how, first of all, we have a space force. Where the hell did that come from? It's actually part of the freaking military. All of a sudden it's there. And I'm like,
I did my part.
I did my part. I can vote now. Like, yeah, we're heading towards Starship Troopers.
Yeah, freaking brain bugs.
Right. He talks about how they've already recorded commercials for like when the aliens attack. Like, oh, my daughter joined whatever and she's fighting the alien force or whatever, and they're like showing these, like he's showing these supposed commercials that have already been created by the military for distribution once this happens, because they know it's going to happen because they're putting it together, right? But he believes that like they're already here, like. And I do believe that. I do believe that. I think aliens are here. I don't know why we're not completely enslaved, because again, when an advanced civilization comes into contact with a lesser civilization, it does not bode well for the lesser advanced civilization.
There is a definite protocol that plays step by
and I don't
step
believe, oh, they're so advanced, they've transcended violence. Sure. Okay.
So if there was, and I love picking your brain, almost as much as picking my butt. But
I'm glad I'm right up there with picking your butt.
You're right there. You're right there, neck and neck. I'll tell you what.
It's a satisfying feeling.
But okay. So what do you subscribe to as far as where the aliens come from? Are you like
so I think that they could potentially come from a few places, because I hate to use the word portal because then I sound like the people that I think are nuts, but I do believe in a layered universes, layered dimensions, right? I do believe that.
Right.
I believe it's one, it's right here. Like there's very little separating us from multi-universes.
The veil.
Yeah. And I think that is a potential for some of them. I think that space travel is likely a thing, because I do believe in intergalactic space. There is something beyond our universe. I do.
Harumps. I didn't get a harump from this guy.
I do. I believe in space, and
I know. I got you.
Space is terrifying. I will tell you that. You start studying astronomy, space is fucking terrifying. Like I don't want to go up there. I mean, I don't know. I'd have a hard time deciding, like, the Earth's going to blow up. We all have to get on these ships and go into deep space. I'd be like, It's like that choose your own adventure, and no matter what you choose, it's screwed.
How strong can you make a margarita right now? Because I think I'm just going to sit back and drink it.
Like, I don't know. Like, and then I always think, like, if I knew the Earth was going to, like, get hit by an ELE event, right? Like asteroid or something, and it was going to just wipe everybody out. It was going to be violent. It's going to be horrible.
Right.
Would I take myself out of that game, or would I just let nature take its course? That would be a tough decision for me. Because I really like me. I don't like the idea of me being hurt by myself, by my own hands, or by, extenuating circumstance. Like the idea of me getting hurt just sucks. Like, if I know the Earth's going to explode and we're all going to die this horrible, violent, nasty death, do I want to exit stage left myself? Like, I'm choosing to leave this, or am I just going to be like, well, I mean, at least I'll see something cool before I die.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. One of my favorite songs, it says, it's talking about the end of the world, and it says, the only thing better than seeing the entire world end would seeing it begin. And I kind of hold that, because I used to have like really big Armageddon dreams, where
Really?
it's like, oh yeah, man. Like even when I was a young kid, I would have dreams that I was, older like I am now, and like, like planets or giant planets like Nibiru type stuff would be heading towards the Earth, and you
Like what
could
I
see
saw in the
it.
night sky when I was like 12, right? You remember that
Right.
story?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that
Yeah.
scared, that legit freaked me out. I thought that we were going to get hit by a planet.
Yeah. But it would be like, it's going down and everyone would be panicking and I'd have a family, and I'm like, all right, just, kneel down, everybody pray. Let's, enter the new existence together. Like,
Yeah, I
but I'd
mean,
have like, yeah, I'd have crazy Armageddon dreams.
and
And
so
it
I had
just
a
scared
dream. I had a dream. It was like an end of the world, like Armageddon kind of dream when I was at my grandparents' house, and my dad's, we still lived in the house down the street. So, and I was young enough that I was still like staying the night at my grandparents' house because I used to, because my grandparents slept in separate rooms. In my grandfather's room, he had a twin bed and he had like another bed, and my brother used to sleep in the extra twin bed. And then I used to sleep in the bed with my grandmother. So I was young enough that I was still doing that I had this dream because I remember waking up freaked out. And in my dream, it starts where I'm in like a pup tent kind of thing, right?
Okay.
And I remember it's white sheets and it's in brown sticks and it's a pup tent, and I'm sitting in it with my best friend Leela. So I was on probably like fourth, fifth, maybe sixth grade when this happened, and she had makeup. She had like a makeup palette from the 80s, so it was like pink and blue, right?
Yeah, right.
So she was like painting her face, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she goes, we have to blend in with the people outside. Like we have to paint our faces like natives, right? She's like, we got to paint our faces so we can blend in and they won't hurt us. And I'm like, all right, that sounds legit. So I'm like, we're painting our faces in this pup tent. And then it's like really bright, like it's midday. And I get out of the tent and I'm standing there, and the earth is scorched. I mean, it is barren, but it's like red clay barren, right? There's not.
So you're post-apocalyptic at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah. So it's like there's no water, there's no nothing. It is like I've never seen. I mean, I'm young. I hadn't been, but like California and Oregon at this point. Like, I'd never seen red clay before, but that's essentially what it was. It was like red clay, and the pup tent is gone, and my friend is gone, and I'm just standing there, and my grandmother and my little brother are standing across from me, and this fissure opens up and it's full of lava, and they fall into it and they die. And then and Jesus is there, like, what a child would picture Jesus to be.
Right.
And I want to say he might have been standing there when with my grandmother and my brother were there. And then this thing opens up and they fall in, and I start crying, and he holds me, right? Because I'm like, I turn around and I'm like, screaming, and I know I can't go get them because they're burned out there in the lava. And he puts his arms around me, and I remember he had this like glowing white robe on with like, it's what you see like the statue, like the glowing white robe with the blue like scarf or whatever it is. And I'm crying, and he's like, it's okay. He goes, they'll be okay, and you'll be okay. And then I was so sad, and I woke up. So I think I was crying when I woke up.
Right. Yeah.
And I had that when I was, however old you are, in like fourth or fifth grade.
Right. Yeah. 9, 10 years old.
Yeah. So, and I remember that. I'm 51. I remember that vividly. I remember that dream.
That's freaking sweet, dude. Like every time I had him when I was a kid, it was like, dude, you're on your own. Like there was no consolation or, like,
there usually wasn't, like when a nightmare or something like that. It was just it was so different from any dream I had ever had. Like I'd had nightmares with like monsters and shit.
Right.
The one reoccurring one that this dude was like, like this old Westy, almost kind of Puritan looking guy, like came around the back shed in my grandma's backyard, my grandparents' backyard, started walking down the walkway towards me, and I would start running, and he wasn't mean, and he wasn't menacing. He was just this tall white guy with this black suit on with, like, you know, a Colonel Sanders kind of like tie and a white button up, and he had a black hat on, and it was a straight brimmed hat. And
the guy from Poltergeist?
No, it wasn't the guy. This was before Poltergeist came out. No, this was before
saying,
Poltergeist 2 came out, or I would legit believe that. But I had that reoccurring dream when I was really young, like really young. But then I remember, you know, part of me is like, did I really dream that, or did I see him at one point? Because I do remember I was running and I had these clogs on, because that was like the hot thing back in, like, I don't know, like 1979.
Clogs.
Yeah, like if you don't know what they are, Google it. Yeah. Like, they're horrible shoes is what they are.
Yeah.
So I was like, I remember it was at night and I was in the backyard, or it was dusk. I mean, it was pretty dark. And something spooked me. And to be honest with you, I can't remember if I legit saw him one time or if, you know, I only saw him in my dreams, but something in the backyard spooked me. And it was while I was looking towards the shed. I do remember that. I was looking towards the shed. And I turned around and I was running and I slid because those things had no grip on them. Right. And I went to go turn the corner into the garage door, and my ass kept going this way and the top of me like made the turn. So I slipped and I slid on the on my thigh along the sidewalk that we had, and I had like scratches all up my leg. I do remember that. So and I remember being so freaked out, I like drug myself into the garage, and I remember, you know, getting the Bactine on it and all that. So something freaked me out. But yeah, I had that dream about that guy. But then I found out that when my grandparents bought the house, because they were one of the original like owners of that in that subdivision, and the back fence, it backed up to farmland. And right on the other side of the fence was this giant, just beautiful oak tree, just gorgeous oak tree. And apparently when they first moved in, there was a door in the fence where you could walk out into the pasture. I don't know why my grandfather built that in there, but it was a feature. And my dad, I guess when they moved in there, my dad was in high school, I want to say, or junior high. He was in junior high. And he and my grandfather were, I guess, like poking around back there. They found a grave marker. It was a rock with this dude's name and date of death chiseled into it. So there's somebody buried under the oak tree back there. And I didn't find this out until a lot later, because I remember, I guess they were afraid that, you know, something was going to happen. They moved the marker off the grave, and it was sitting on my grandparents' back porch, like under the, because they had a very, very nice backyard. It had like a wooden like canopy. It wasn't a pergola because it was a solid roof, like back patio. And it was sitting there with like all the patio furniture and everything. And yeah, I remember reading it. It was like T.M. Markham or T.J. Markham. Its last name was definitely Markham. And it had like 18 something or 17. No, it was definitely 18 something. Chiseled on the rock. And actually the Historical Society, I don't know why they reached out to my brother and not me, but they reached out to my brother asking him about if he knew anything about the grave that was back there.
Huh. Crazy. Well, they do say, I know that technically, and I don't buy it, but they do say that any people or faces that you dream of are ones that you actually seen in real life, because your mind doesn't make up like a face. It just it uses an old one that it's seen from a memory. Sure. You know,
that's interesting. But where's pareidolia? I mean,
yeah,
putting somebody at some point in the wood grain.
But I've seen some pretty inhuman faces, you know, in my dreams. I used to have one of my recurring. Oh man, I used to have a bunch of, because I watched 80s horror movies. So like I used to have a ton of you know, like 80s horror movies dreams. Like I dreamt Jason versus Freddy when I was in like second or third grade. Like I was running from Freddy because he's a child killer, you know.
Right.
So I'm like running from him, and Jason's in front of me, and I go to do like a baseball slide, which my fat ass could never do. In reality, outside of the dream, I would have just rolled. But and I like slid between Jason's legs, and him and Freddy started fighting. I was like, woke up, I was like, that was the coolest dream, Jason versus Freddy. And then eventually, years and years later, it came to fruition. But one of the real ones that I used to have that had nothing to do with movie BS was it was like we went to it was like at night, but it was field trip, I guess you could say, to this house. And I know where it stemmed from, because I had just learned about the guy that invented penicillin, right? And apparently one of the things was he was experimenting on it with his wife and actually killed his wife. I don't know whether that's a fact, but I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I remember hearing about that in school, but it was like a school field trip, and the whole bus would pull up. And it was this creepy tin house, like tin roofed house, and I remember on top of, because you got the pipe sticking up out the top of the house, it looked like the top of the Tin Man's head. Like it was kind of like one of those. Yeah. And we'd all go in there, and my dad was like the scientist, right? And we'd all go in there, and he'd be like, yeah, this is penicillin. Blah. I don't think it was penicillin in the dream, but he's like, yeah, I'm working on this, potion or whatever. And he'd shoot himself up with it. And I know this ties into, because my parents were, drug addicts straight up, and they're heroin users. And so like needles and shooting up wasn't weird for me. I thought it was normal. Like I used to chew on the little orange
oh my gosh
for the needles. Yeah, I thought it was like normal. I'd be like, yeah, my coast is clear. Like in the alley, but yeah, and he would literally turn into a freaking werewolf or dog man or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
But and then he would kill everybody, including me. And so, but I was always the last to die. And, it was like, it happened. Like I dreamt about that, man. I couldn't even count the times, on two hands, how many times I had that exact same dream. And it got to the point to where once I was on the bus, like I knew where I was going. I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, here we go. This is going to be great. We're all going to die.
Dang
my dad, who's a freaking werewolf.
He's a God-blessed werewolf.
From injecting himself with this green freaking and I'm pretty sure the reanimator has something to do with that too, because it was the green.
It was the green glowing stuff.
Yeah, the green glowing stuff. Yeah. But and then when I back to the Armageddon dreams, I can kind of root those back too, because I got into Jehovah's Witness at the time, and if anyone who's ever been a Jehovah's Witness or knows anything about Jehovah's Witnesses, they are hell bent on the freaking Armageddon. Like it's a fear tactic that they're pumping in you, and there's only going to be 144,000 of us that are going to make it to heaven, and so you better,
that's a pretty exact number.
Yeah, read your watchtower and you better. So it was always like this perilous doom kind of a homage about, anytime you went to I forgot what, man, they don't call it a temple, they don't call it church. It's slipping my mind is what it's doing. But
okay, so it's not a temple, not a church.
No, it's the Jehovah's Witnesses. They got one right down the freaking road.
Kingdom Hall.
The Kingdom Hall. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Kingdom Hall. And there was this. I remember one time, because they're very big on worldly things. You know what I mean? Like you're not allowed to associate with worldly people.
Oh
So
yeah.
that means people that are not of Jehovah's Witnesses. And they would tell this thing about how this one time a little kid brought a Smurf into the Kingdom Hall, and during the middle of the session or whatever, that it got up and walked out of the church, or out of the Kingdom Hall. Like the Smurf would, yeah. But growing older, I realized that was a lot of fear tactics, and you mix those in with a child's imagination, and you start worrying when you're in freaking 4th grade and you're worrying about the end of the world. Like, dude,
there's something wrong.
Yeah, there's something wrong there. Yeah, go outside and play. Shut up. Go run
off that energy, kid.
Yeah, go launch your BMX off of that big ramp outside and spray garden hose water on your wounds.
Play freeze tag. That was my favorite. Freeze tag.
Freeze tag. Oh yeah. Freeze tag was awesome, man. I can't front.
I'd play that as an adult.
I can't.
No, I mean, we wouldn't be running. We'd be speed walking at best.
Doing the mall walk.
It'd be a brisk walk.
I remember that when my grandma and all the old ladies, they used to go to the mall in the mornings and do the speed walk thing, around the whole mall. I'd be in the arcade.
Let me tell you how old I am. I bent down to pick my cat up the other morning.
I know where it's going.
And I tweaked my sciatic nerve, my little asshole cat, because he was talking. He wouldn't shut up, but he wouldn't let me pick him up either. So I was chasing him through the living room, and I was like bending over to grab his little fat ass, and right as I was about to grab him, tink, and there was a thread of fire down my left butt cheek. From my lower back through my rear end and halfway down the back of my thigh. And I was like, the hell? Did I just strain my butt? I didn't realize what it was until after I got, Oliver in my grip, and I'm limping back to my bedroom. I'm still trying to get ready for work, by the way. I still have to drive an hour into work. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? It felt like my rear end was the muscle was and I'm laying there with one leg flipped over, doing stretches. And I'm like, the heck did you do to me, Oliver? I was like, you're killing me. So then he proceeds to walk all over me while screaming at me.
Right.
But
see?
Yeah, I tweaked my back and my rear end. Picking up my cat, he's not really a fat ass. He's a normal sized male cat, but I'm old. There is no speed walking probably anymore either. There's definitely no running right now. Nothing tries to kill me because I had a good run.
Yeah, no shit.
I had a good run. I guess I'm gonna check out now.
That'll get me too. Literally, sometimes I'll be pulling the koozie off of my beer or whatever, and my hands and I'm like, ah, I have to literally
oh, I hate that.
Pull my fingers out. I'm like, what in the shit?
I don't get that in my hands, but I get that in my feet in the middle of the night. One toe decides to one toe decides to do this. Yeah. I'm double jointed. Cool.
Ah, yeah. Nice. I used to be double jointed, but I stopped smoking. But
you can do the. Too bad you can't hear it pop.
I can.
Monica is a demon because she can deform her fingers. So flat surfaces. It's hard to. I'll use my husband's keyboard as an example. You can do that, right? Flat hand and that. Just gross everybody out. Woo! And you went away.
I don't know. If I wanted to gross everybody out, I'd start showing off all my wounds and missing pinkies and such.
I have to log myself back in because I just logged myself out of the computer and I'm looking at my save screen. You can hear me pounding away on the keyboard.
Yeah. Jesus.
Magnesium deficiency. Yeah, it's a deficiency of something.
Yeah.
Not being old.
Youth deficiency.
It's a deficiency of youth. Slipping away.
That or is all the freaking garden hose water we drink is.
Right? It's all of the chemicals that leach through that green plastic hose in the sun.
Yeah. The government's like, we're going to get him in 40 years. Just wait.
Temporary. I will not drink tap water now. It has to be bought. This is so messed up in my head. The thought of drinking tap water, I'm like, ew, tap water. Oh.
I love tap water. I think bottled water.
Filtered water. Like filtered.
I think it tastes like crap. I want my water to have like seasoning.
Yeah, I want to taste that fluoride in my tap water. Actually, the water here in Sherman, when I take a shower, you can smell the chlorine in it. Like you can smell it. Now, I don't even know if it's chlorine or if it's like bleach. It's some sort of sterilizing agent. You can smell it.
Yeah. Actually there's a town, it's like one exit north of Waco. Like you get to North Waco and it's like, I think it's I want to say Beaumont, but I know it's not freaking Beaumont because that's Houston area. But their tap water was so good that they literally bottled it up and sold it as bottled water. At least from what I understand. Yeah. But it was delicious. Like,
no, I do not want to go to Waco.
No.
No. Okay, so I was thinking west, but that's clearly not it because that's easy.
No, it starts with a B. It's like
starts with a B, and
it's like yeah.
You sure it's north?
Like one. It's like it's north. It's like one freaking. It's a one light town. Like if you.
There's Ross. So Abbott.
I wouldn't even call. It's not a city. It's definitely not a city.
Right.
It's
Is it on 35 though?
Yeah, it's on 35.
So it's between Hillsboro and Waco?
Yeah, like when you pass like Lake Waco and then you get back in the 90s, there was like a HEB right there, and then the next exit was it. But
Belmead?
Belmead, yeah. There you go. Okay. See? But yeah, I heard that they actually sold their, I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I heard that they actually sold one of their tap water, and it was like a major one. I mean, it could have been all BS, because who back then pre-internet you couldn't Google factoids. So someone goes, "Dude, did you know this is Evian?" And you're like, "No way."
Yeah.
But I still like tap water. When I moved out to out here to Bastrop area, it was bad. Like it was really bad. Like you could literally pour a glass of tap water, and if you left it like overnight, it would separate, and you'd see the gray water.
Oh my God.
And you'd see the clear water on top.
I have to mute my mic. I'm sorry. I forget to do that.
Bow.
Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
If you're from the 80s, you know.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, that So tap water doesn't do it for you now. You saw. But what about like the whole?
No, I'll drink tap water, but it's got to be filtered. Like I'm not like sticking my glass under the tap unless I'm desperate, like desperate.
Well, yeah, because that's how I used to. That's how I used to kind of do it. Was wake up hungover, and you just go straight to the faucet.
Well, yeah, I mean, back in the day, I used to do that too. I'm talking about now.
What? Oh, shit. I mean,
just
we
saying.
don't do that now? All right. Cool. I don't do
I'm
that
not
either.
waking up hungover too often. I don't. I drink like that like maybe once a year.
Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah. I don't do that at all, ever. I swear. Just what kind of animal does that? But yeah, like, no, but it's weird. It's funky. Like, I'm a weirdo like that. Like in the shower, like I'll drink tap water out of the faucet, no problem. Go, go, go. But if I'm in the shower and like water gets in my mouth, like if
you're like, oh,
yeah, I'm like, shower water. What the hell is the difference in the shower?
There's no difference.
Yeah,
it's not one like one's potable and one isn't. I think what makes me not want to drink the tap water is my house is ancient, and I have overseen the plumbing in enough buildings. Now, granted, these are commercial buildings, but I have overseen the plumbing in enough buildings to know those lines are gross.
Yeah. See, and honestly, like I feel, and this goes back to what we talk about a lot. Beer went down the wrong pipe.
I did that with Patron last week.
Yeah, it's dude. I hate doing that with shots. Yeah, with shots.
Thought I was gonna die. Legit, like thought I was gonna keel over dead in front of all of my coworkers.
Yeah,
and I looked like a freaking wimp because I couldn't take a shot.
Yeah. Can't take a shit.
That was the worst. Like, so
or one of mine is I already know what it's gonna taste like, so like I'll literally Jen will pour me a shot or whatever, and we'll cheers. Before I even take it, I'm all like,
get it out of the way now.
Yeah. She's like, you haven't even fucking drank it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I know
don't want to die.
Yeah, I know what it's gonna do. But yeah, what I was getting at, yo, what up, Tim? Scott's Life called it. Back in the Gap, they used the copper pipes, and copper is, it cleans elements out of the piping, and then we switched over to what? Freaking plastic. So you got PVC pipe and
PEX lines are what's run usually because it's less expensive. Like every night, okay, so you can run PEX like from your main in through the buildings, but when it stubs out, you have to use copper. So you have to stub out in copper, but everything else is PEX.
Right.
But, I mean, PEX isn't bad. Okay, so if you live somewhere that freezes for residential use, PEX expands and contracts a lot better than copper does. You're going to get a lot more burst pipes if you've got 100% copper line run and it freezes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can dig that because, like, I hear, but we're Texas, South Texas, or, mid.
My pipes freeze every year at least one time.
Ours never.
Mine freeze.
Ours don't. Yeah.
I mean, you probably. I mean, are you on a slab or are you on pier and beam?
I live in a manufactured home, girl.
You're pier and beam, you probably.
I live on Center Block. It's not pier and beam.
I mean, it's like they're like piers, right? So you're elevated. You're off the ground, is what I'm getting at. Like your plumbing lines are exposed, is what
they're exposed.
So yeah, I mean, the kitchen and my powder bath usually freeze because all of that plumbing is run on the north wall, and I mean everything on the north side of the house is going to freeze. Plus, I mean, we've wrapped our pipes; they still fucking freeze. They still freeze. Yeah. It's because my house has no insulation because it was built like 110 years ago. So, and I don't feel
Yeah.
like replumbing it. And I've already wrapped them, and I don't
Yeah,
feel
no.
like I don't even know where I put insulation in these walls. Like I don't.
The only time I've ever even like put my faucets on drip was, I don't know if you remember, it was like 3 years ago when there was that 2 week freeze over.
Oh yeah, the deep
Yeah,
freeze. Yeah.
yeah, the deep freeze where all the power went out and all that.
I mean, if you
Like,
were frozen, imagine me up here. I was in the nook of the north. Like it was a block of ice. It was a block of
yeah,
ice.
that was crazy. And then they had that big they videoed that multi-car pileup when they hit the dry ice in Dallas going north. And
Yeah, they did that in Fort Worth downtown
yeah,
on 35 West.
yeah, 35 West. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, that was like traumatizing. Like
yeah,
I
that was
remember
freaky.
watching that and I was like, dude, no.
Yeah, we get the
And
cobblestone ice up here. Like if it gets real bad, but I don't know like what's worse is because I mean, come on, I mean people that live in the north are like whatever. We're not used to it here in Texas. Like,
no,
come on and visit us right now. Like right now, we're not
yeah,
used to it.
yeah. Tim's daughter is in the chat. He's a Ohio cat, and
Yeah, he's like
me
whatever.
me and him, yeah, me and him have had this conversation about how like when it's cold and freezing, and he's like, dude, that's nothing. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's 115 down here. And he's like, dude, 115? How are
So
you alive?
yeah, I know, right? Barely. It depends on the humidity that day as to whether or not we're alive.
Mm-hmm.
So poncho, I do not have plaster walls. I have shiplap. I have um, I have sheetrock over shiplap. I don't have any lab. I don't have any like typical labbing. It's all shiplap.
You're throwing so many new weird words at me. I'm like, cobblestone ice. What the hell is that? Shiplap? What the hell is that?
So cobblestone ice is like when it looks like there's potholes in the ice, right? And
Oh,
when you
okay.
drive over it, it's like that's cobblestone ice.
Okay.
And shiplap is a type of wood like paneling, right? It's horizontal, and
Right.
your shiplap kind of locks in together, right? It's like a tongue and groove, and it like it can be flat, like which mine is, or yeah, it's like flat wood, like paneling.
Oh, okay. Okay. I know exactly
Like
what
you'll
you're
see it a lot, like in the farmhouse thing. Like if you watch like TV remodels, they're like, oh, they have shiplap, you know.
I know exactly what you're talking about. My I just didn't know that's what it was called, but my folks, that's what they have on their house. And it's that over under board. You gotta like literally apparently if you even saw into it,
Right.
kind of like asbestos, you need to be wearing some, protective.
See, I had to do a whole like safety thing on asbestos for the company, and I had to do a deep dive on asbestos and I learned that there's all different kinds of asbestos. There's friable asbestos, which is where you breathe it in. That's the worst kind. There's the black crap that's in mastic. And did you know that asbestos is not outlawed in the United States? It is not.
Oh,
It is. You
really?
can still have. Yeah, they still use asbestos mastic when they're hanging mirrors. So if you pull a mirror off the wall and it's got the black crap holding it on, it's usually in commercial applications. You probably don't have to worry about it in your house. It's usually asbestos and I found that out. I did not realize that they were still using it that commonly, but I was remodeling an old bank and we had to remodel the bathroom on it. Like the bathroom had to be demoed. And when we pulled the mirror off the wall, I was like, that looks a lot like asbestos mastic. Right. So I had to call, and sure enough, we had to abate this like little tiny, like I had to shut the whole job site down for this one little tiny like patch.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's bullshit. So we can still get asbestos, but I can't eat lead paint chips anymore.
Yeah, I know, right?
Dude, that's it. I'm calling my congressman.
I'm pretty sure I've got lead paint layered in here somewhere if you want to come lick the walls. I can accommodate you.
I am totally down. You won't have any lead paint by the time, and I'll be just great.
So poncho, yeah, I probably could inject insulation into my walls, but I don't feel like cutting giant holes in my walls. I could probably just go up into my attic and like shoot it down because you can see down into my walls in the attic. They're not capped.
Did you end up getting your bit sealant fix shit?
No. Would you like to see it? It's so ugly and brown.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. It's big round, and they're still like, part of the texture is still kind of hanging. It looks like a flap of skin hanging there.
Nice. I'm definitely now I'm coming over. Let's
see if I can hold on. I got to angle the whole stupid computer because I've got a Mac. Let's see if we can angle this. So, oh
yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yep. Isn't that pretty?
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Awesome. Well, I mean, we've gone an hour and 41. Sorry, 11:32. I know you're a night owl like me, but if you want to call it, we can call it. I mean,
we can call it, or we can keep talking about asbestos.
Yeah, right. That's that's what I'm getting at.
I can tell you when they started using it in the United States in commercial applications. I can tell you where to look for it in old buildings.
So, man, I wonder. I wonder if that kind of those like chemical compounds. So, like whenever, because a lot of that stuff that they used to use back then is, hardcore chemical, bad for you. So I just had a quick thought that I wonder if when people start going into these old houses or haunted houses or whatever, if that actually has, if they're actually tripping off of the fucking,
They could be shit. I mean, well, I don't know anything that a house like an old house could leak that would cause you to hallucinate. I mean, there are like electromagnetic concerns, but that usually comes from like electrical boxes, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're in like a truly old shut down house, I'm pretty sure the wires have been cut,
Yeah.
But I mean, there is like, so what would freak me out going into a house would be, well, this friable asbestos. Like mastic asbestos wouldn't scare me. And asbestos, like just being sitting there isn't dangerous. It's when you get it like broken up into particles and it gets airborne in your
airborne.
That's when it becomes dangerous. And it doesn't cause you to hallucinate. It scars your lungs is what it does. Because it's like breathing in like shards of glass, really.
Right, yeah, like fiberglass used to be back when we were kids. You're like, fluffy cotton, and then you're itching for.
Right.
They're like, yeah, because you got glass in your freaking skin.
Right. And I mean, the worst kind is the friable asbestos, and that's like what you see mostly with like blown insulation. A lot of the blown in insulation had asbestos in it. You see it in insulation. Yeah. What'd you say?
I said lucky insulation.
Yeah.
Blown insulation.
Yeah, lucky thing. He's so lucky.
So lucky. My insulation is very lucky.
Yeah. Or if you're like remodeling and you're pulling up like mastic, like the linoleum tiles, right?
Okay.
The old, and I mean, there were certain, so like 12 by 12 sizes were typically the ones like where they use the black mastic. And that's not dangerous unless you're, again, like when you're scraping it up, you're making it airborne, that kind of thing. Yeah. Just with it, I mean, asbestos just sitting there isn't really going to do much to you.
Right.
So I would be worried about friable asbestos. I would be worried about radon. gas. That's legit.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because back then, back in the Gap, they weren't really checking for underground. Okay, so this actually, this ties into two different things, but what they, whenever you would start digging your own well, like in the 1800s, you go dig your own well, you'd actually take a candle with you, and lower it into the hole, because it would have all the methane,
natural gas,
right? Natural gas, methane. But
natural gas doesn't have any smell to it. I don't think people understand that. Like if you hit a pocket of natural gas,
you'll never know.
You're not going to smell it. Like they put a specific chemical into it to give it that smell that you smell.
Yeah, they put an odor into it. That gets into like the whole fracking thing, which is just crazy to me. I don't know if you ever seen the thermal fracking prints where they're doing it and it just shows, these huge thermal readouts of natural gas. It's like,
oh my God.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what,
the property that I own mineral rights to some property that's been in my family for generations up in Oklahoma. And we've got natural gas wells all over our property. So keep consuming that natural gas. It helps Monica. Okay, so you want to talking about fracking and all of that. So if you want to go down a rabbit hole of environmental, give you the willies, first of all, Superfund sites. Never heard of those until recently. I started digging into those. Then there's a map. You can find all of them that are around you. That freaks me out. And two are zombie wells. Have you heard of zombie wells?
No, I haven't heard of either one. So I'm now back in the game and intrigued.
So Superfund sites, it sounds not fun.
Oh, fun. FUND.
FUND are sites that are so environmentally contaminated that you're not supposed to have access to them. They're on a government cleanup list, right? So just go read about Superfund sites. And so zombie wells, and there are tons of if you go onto TikTok, even on YouTube, there's tons of videos about it. So zombie wells are typically oil wells. Sometimes they're natural gas wells, but typically oil wells where the caps are leaking and they're contaminating, and the sludge water's coming out and it's leaching out into fields, right? And it's gross. You want to have an environmental nightmare, go down an environmental nightmare, Google those two things.
Crazy. Okay. Yeah. I got something to do tomorrow.
There you go.
Sure. Yeah.
And it'll piss you off because you're going to see and you'll see that the oil companies that are responsible for making sure those caps are inspected and, maintained, give a shit. People are reporting them. And it'll take them 24 hours to get anybody out there to even look at the site. They don't give a crap. They've gotten their money. They don't care about capped wells. Yeah, it's disgusting. They're all over the place in West Texas.
West, yeah. So yeah, because that's desert territory almost, right?
Yeah.
West Texas, yeah.
Yeah.
And very non-populated, isolated.
I mean, there are zombie wells all over the place, but the most prevalent ones that I saw, or sites that I saw the most videos on, were mostly in West Texas.
Crazy. Zombie wells.
Check it out.
Dig it. Right on. Well, we are at almost our 2-hour mark. Yeah, I guess we can call it. It was a great show.
It was.
I like how we went from freaking growing up to Giants to asbestos and
Monica being pissed off on the Comal.
the coma. Yeah. Oh, dude, every time I think of that, I'm gonna laugh.
Floating islands of assholes.
Floating islands of assholes.
Tepid bath water. It was
Just bumping
pissed
in
off
the
Monica.
grind. And don't give her a beer because she's gonna chuck it at you. Yeah, like knowing my shit, I'd come along with a 16 ouncer. You'd be like, yes, I will take that.
I will take yours. I don't want the random drunk guy. He was being nice. I mean, I tried really hard not to be rude to the guy because I really do try not to be I'm not just rude to people. I'm not, like, even if I'm having a bad day, I'm not just going to snap at somebody because
right.
my problem is not caused by them. I understand that, and I was just trying to be nice to the guy, but he was like, you having a good time? And I was like, super. You want a beer? You need a beer? I got extra beer. You want a beer? And I was like, oh, I'm good. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And then he was so drunk, like 5 seconds later, he's like, can I get you a beer? Do you want a beer? I was like, bro, you got water? I'm going to shrivel up like a freaking raisin over here. I'm in water and I'm dying of dehydration.
Yeah. No, I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, someone will hand me a beer, like, dude, you want a beer? And I'm like, Bud Light, or any kind of light. I'm like, nah, I don't need any water right now. I'm good.
Yeah. It's American piss water.
Stuff. Yeah, I drink the hard stuff.
Of it, like anything but Bud. I would only drink Bud. First of all, it has the highest alcohol content of the generic American beers. I get drunk faster on Bud, so I was like, just give me Bud. But like Coors specifically is just complete American piss water.
Yeah, Jen when I first met Jen, she used to drink Coors River style, and she'd be like, "Nah, I only drink Coors." I'm like, "Dude, I could drink a case of Coors and probably legally drive home."
Yeah, freaking juggle chainsaws. You know what I used to love when I'd go up to the Ohio conference was Bud Light with lime, or Bud with lime. You remember that?
Lime. Yeah.
Man, I loved that. I really did actually like that beer. And if I want to get drunk but not completely just effed up, I can drink beer all day and like still function.
Yeah.
Beer. American beer, not German beer. I can drink that. But I would drink that. And I guess there's a crap ton of salt in the Bud Light with lime because I would swell up just from the sodium. Like,
you swell
my
up
little fingers would become sausages.
You swell up from sodium? I never heard of that.
Oh yeah.
Weird.
Oh heck yeah, you do.
I never. This is new to me.
That's a legit thing. Sodium can make you swell, and it definitely makes Monica just puff up. Well, first of all, the beer makes me just bloat, and then the salt will make the rest of my body. The beer makes my stomach bloat. The sodium made the rest of my body puffy. Let me put it that way. I was puffy.
Puffy.
It's a kind way of saying I was bloated.
What are you going to be drinking when we do the New Orleans trip? What's your?
It depends on where we are. Like, okay, so like if we're over on like Frenchman Street, probably beer, because that's more readily available in the bars. And but if we're on Bourbon, or if we're going up and down Canal, which is basically, the French Quarter. If we're just wandering the French Quarter, there's daiquiri places everywhere that are okay. So it depends on how messed up you want to get. Like in the day, I probably just have beer because again, I can function while I'm drinking beer. But at night, like when I went last year, man, my girl was shoving, because they have the syringe shots, right? She was shoving those syringe shots down my face. She was like, shot, let's do a shot. I want to get a shot. So I had a few syringe shots, and then we went to this one place that had gummy bears. They had gummy bears soaked in vodka. and it was $5, right? And I'm thinking, okay, $5, I get like a cup. Like they're in these little like what you get your sauces in to go at a restaurant. So they were in that. And I'm like, okay, $5, I'll get like one thing because I'm already fucked up from all these shots and daiquiris and shit. And I'm like, I think I can handle like a couple of gummy bears. They're big old gummy bears. They're huge gummy bears. I don't like regular gummy bears. They're like the giant ass gummy bears. And I get the gummy bears swell when you put them in vodka, but I mean, big ass gummy bears. And it was $5 for 2 cups, not just 1 cup. And I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, so anyway, I'll probably be eating gummy bears and taking like syringe shots and having a daiquiri or 2. But if you want to get really messed up, I mean, really tore up, go to Tropical Isle and get a hand grenade. Like 1 hand grenade will do ya.
Nah, I'll take one.
Well, maybe not you. Yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah, no, they used to on 6th Street in Austin. They used to, at this one club named Paradise. They used to have it was called Jet Fuel, and it was like a Long Island iced tea, but double the liquor and only top shelf. And dude, I could drink like 2 or 3 of the, and they'd be like, dude, you can't drink 2 or 3. They're like, I'm like, yeah, I actually can. And I will walk out here and I will go to the next bar and I will get more booze. But yeah, I'm just part booze on my mother's side. It's just the way it works. It doesn't really get to me. Now, there has been times when I've been drinking way less than I should, and I think I like got roofied or something like that because I'm like, dude, no, I drink way more than this.
So that is something like if we're bar hopping, you got to be careful of.
Yeah,
order is somebody slipping something into somebody else in our party's drink. So you got to be like watching. Like, don't leave your shit on the counter, or don't like wander away from it. I mean, which is good advice in any location.
Yeah.
But, like, we'll just need to like keep an eye on each other. Like what's happening is all I'm saying. And make sure that the one person in our party I was concerned about doesn't try to wander down an alley by himself.
Yeah.
Don't take alley shortcuts in New Orleans.
Yeah, no.
Poncho, walk the long way around.
Yeah. I don't know if there are any midget bartenders. I don't think I've ever ran across any.
We can go looking for them.
Yeah, we can try. Yeah, but I did actually one time. I macked on Leslie in freaking Austin, and I had no idea. And do you know who Leslie is? Okay, so it's Josh knows exactly what I'm talking about. He'd probably laugh his ass off. But so there was this. It was a homeless dude in Austin that used to hang out by 6th Street, and his name was Leslie, and he'd always wear like chick garb, right? And so, but he was like really famous. Like everybody knew Leslie. Like even when he passed away, like everyone was like, damn, you know, it was like on Austin News, you know, like Leslie passed away, blah, blah, blah. So I was at a club. It was me, my wife at the time, and my best friend and his wife. And I just see this red dress or white dress and high heels, you know, from the back with a big what do you all chicks call that? Like not a scarf, but it has like all the stringy things, like a shawl. No, what would that be called?
It has stringy things.
Well, like fine feathery. It's like it's a wrap around the neck.
It's like, like all I can think of is like a stole. Like it's a like.
Yeah, like Richie Broads in the 50s kind of.
Yeah, that's a stole.
Okay, so yeah. And I'm like, we're all drunk, chilling. And I see it at the bar from behind, and I'm like, so I'm like, Man, yeah, I'm gonna go get a drink. Like I roll up next to it and like put my arms on. I'm like, yeah, let me get a double shot of Crown and a Budweiser. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And Leslie turns to me. He's like, I'm doing good, man. And the funny thing about Leslie is he dressed like a chick. Sometimes he'd be wearing like just a thong or some shit. But
Wow.
he had like he looked like Chong from Cheech and Chong. Had a big beard. Like so, he looks at me like I'm doing
pretty
man.
good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, it's Leslie. Like I was like,
Shit, Leslie, you
right
scared me.
Yeah, I was like, you want a drink, girl?
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, that's anybody, but yeah, anybody knows freaking 6th Street history would be like, oh my God, Breezy, you did not. Yeah, it happened. But anyway, man, well, on that note,
On that note, we're gonna sign off.
Yeah, no shit. Well, so you got anything planned you want to tell the readers? I know we got or the viewers. Thank you. See, that's why you're here.
Thank you, Spanky Spankers.
I know we have the Labor Day
extravaganza.
Yeah, extravaganza.
The Labor Day movie marathon is what we've got going on.
The 80s, yeah. And so I found out that due to a legal botch, that Night of the Living Dead is public domain.
Yep, we talked about that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, well, this for the viewers, I know we did, but I'm thinking we'll have like Night of the Living Dead somewhere on here in the background while we're talking.
Yeah, we can do that. Like in the background. That's the most boring horror movie ever. I don't like Night of the Living Dead.
What? That's what turned me on to horror. Like I was
yeah, back in the day, but I mean, we've evolved and
yeah, true.
To be honest, even back then, I was like, you can outrun those things. You can push them over while you're running away from them. It's like Scary Movie 2. Why are you running from that? It's a skeleton. You scared of Callista Flockhart?
Yeah, you're right. I think that it just holds that imaginative part.
Well, I mean, if it holds a place in your heart, I'm not knocking that. Yeah. I'm not, anybody that likes it, I'm not. It's just not my thing.
What was your? I know we're trying to shut it down, but what was your take on the? Did you ever watch the '90s remake? Because it was done by.
That was better. But still, like, I don't know.
It was like Tom Savini. That was like his directorial debut. You did? Have you met him?
I love Tom. Huh? No, but my friend knows him. My friend's friends with him. But I mean, I just love his work.
I've met him, and he was a total dick. But I guess maybe he was having a bad day because everyone else that I've talked to has ever met him says he's like the coolest,
everybody I've ever talked to is like, oh my God, he's awesome. And my friend was like, you've got to meet him because like he'll send like he sends like topless pics on his birthday to like chicks he like, anyway, she gets pictures like, and she's not the only one. It's like a big group of people.
Right.
Like on his birthday, it's like a thing he does.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
You do. So I can look forward to that on your birthday.
No, just randomly. Be like, hey, check it out.
Hey, Monica, happy birthday!
You're like,
on my birthday, I get it. Happy birthday to you! It's your gift.
My birthday's in January. You sent this to me on March. What?
Yeah, it's like freaking October 12th.
Yeah, no, I dug the remake. I thought it was pretty good.
Zombie movies is in general. I mean, like full disclosure, are not my thing. Like I liked Return of the Living Dead. I like both of the Return of the Living Deads.
5. I
I mean, they have their place, but by and large, like I just like zombie movies aren't my bag. You know, I like that one that came out recently. Oh God, what was it? It had that wrestler in it. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, Batista.
Yeah, it had Batista in it. Took place.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Land of the Dead.
Yeah, they go to the casino or whatever to try to.
Yeah, trying to heist the vault.
Yeah.
And there's a prequel to that. Did you know it? It's not about zombies. It's about just the guy that's breaking the code. It's a movie about him. But anyway, yeah, they're generally not my bag.
What about the full-fledged running zombies like in
Dawn
of the Dead the remake?
Fuck that. Yeah. Like Day of the Dead remake like freaked me out because I was like, oh shit, they run? Nope.
Yeah. I want to nope the fuck.
No, I'm good. And that just like also like solidifies like if there is a zombie apocalypse, I'm getting the fuck away from the cities and people because there's an asshole in every crowd.
Yeah.
Every crowd. And I mean, if I'm fighting for my life, I ain't got time for your shit.
Yeah, no shit.
Don't have time for your shit.
Like I grew all my kids up on horror movies, like because I'm just a horror movie fiend. And when my oldest daughter, when she saw that Dawn of the Dead remake where they're running, like it completely. She was like, "Fuck horror movies for the rest of my life. I'm not doing it." Like, and I was like, "What? Are you crazy?" She's like, "No, that scared the shit out of me." And then I guess her fears eventually took over with possession movies. Like, so she can't do like, Exorcism of Emily Rose or anything like that. She's like, "No, I'm not doing it."
Possession does not freak me out. Like The Exorcist didn't scare me. I mean, it's got spooky parts, don't get me wrong, but the movie as a whole, I'm like, man.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it fucking scared the shit out of me.
Well, yeah, when you're a kid, but like as an adult, I'm like, like the Emily Rose one, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, that didn't freak me out.
I got a story about that. I'll tell you offline. But the Exorcism of Emily Rose played a pretty weird part in my life. But yeah. Anyway, I digress. So do you have any ideas on Thursday's show, or are you just winging it?
Dude, I wing it every week. I don't know.
Yeah.
Figure it out like 12 hours before we go on. That's what I do.
Gotcha.
I work a full-time job. People are pissing me off daily right now. I don't have time to think that far ahead. Just don't have time to think that far ahead.
Yeah. Well, if you want to shoot your sign off, go for it. And
sure. So everybody, if you have not already, go ahead and once you're done following Breezy here on YouTube, go ahead and hop on over to my channel, which is Our Paranormal World, and give me a like, check out my videos. And if you like what you see, then give me a like and a subscribe and hit the bell so anytime I release some shorts or any other cool thing, you get notified.
Oh, yeah. Right on. Yeah, and I'll be there, looking beautiful.
He's there with me too. He's my moral support. We are each other's support system.
Yeah.
You can do it, man.
Come on, man. Just keep going for us.
You're the best, man. Like it's all good.
Yeah. Me and her both are the same. We hate just staring into ourselves and being like,
I just feel like an idiot talking about my own reflection. Yeah. Well, you're recording, you're looking at yourself, and all I'm doing is like, flaw. It's distracting as I'm like trying to talk about something. Plus, there is the thing that you feel like you're just talking to your own reflection.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with that, you're certifiable.
Right. Yeah. And plus, there's something about bouncing ideas, and I'll say something to you, and you'll go blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even freaking think about that.
Yeah, it's always better to have somebody to bounce stuff off of too.
Yeah. So yeah, you can watch us bounce off of each other's content every Thursday and Friday. Thursday hers show and Friday mine. And yeah, we'll kick it. And for everybody out there, like I always say, one love, God bless. Keep searching for the truth because it's out there. We just got to find it. And if you don't look for it, you ain't going to find it.
That's right.
Sure. Unless it scares the shit out of you. And then we'll never hear from you again. I was walking in the woods by myself and then turned into a Bigfoot turd.
Yeah. I was floating down the canal and Monica popped up behind me with a paddle.
Yeah.
Another to 60 other people.
Looking like the kid Jason and shit. Paddle and drag you down.
Get out my goddamn way. The fuck out of the river. Yeah, degenerates.
Degenerates. Give me that beer, you stupid. All right.
Derelicts. Get out of here.
Y'all have a good one. Be safe. Peace.